Okay, let's get into some happy news I guess. Darius Garland signed a 5-year, $192 million extension with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's plow through this one real quick. James, do you like this for the Cavs?
Of course, of course. Like, yeah, he had such a great season last season. I think he's a really optimal modern point guard. He's a high field player with great floor vision and playmaking abilities, and he can score. Like he's modern and he's throwback at the same time. Kind of. I like him. He's a really good young player. What do you think?
I like him. It seems like a little bit of an overpay in my mind, but like you got to pay these guys to keep him around. He's still really young. He's one of these guys where he's improved his points per game every season and his offensive rating every season, which I love seeing those two things go up in tandem because it's a lot more difficult than you'd think. Also, his offensive box plus minus and defensive box plus minus have both improved each season. He gets better. He's a guy who's also really capable off ball. So if you do bring in like a big time player to like kind of like be the dude, he'll still be valuable. His defensive upside's limited, but you got Evan Mobley to back him up. I like it. It's probably a bit of an overpay right now, but if you look at the way where the cap is going and you factor in he's got one more year on that rookie deal and then the 5 years, by the end of it, you're going, oh wow, like paying a dude like 40 million a season is like paying a guy like 30 million or 28 million right now. So I think that will make it, when we look at this, be like, that was a really good extension.
And also, if I'm like, my thinking is like, I could see that you'd say it's a bit of an overpay in terms of like straight market value, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you're either going to overpay him or you're not going to pay him. Right. So I would have chosen to overpay him.
Yeah, no, I like this deal. I was just saying, like, if there was like one bone to pick with it, it seemed like a little bit of an overpay, but whatever. All right. This is the biggest news in the history of James Harden stands lives. James Harden declined his player option for $44.3 million. The assumption was he would give himself a big old fat contract from his big old fat buddy, Daryl Morey, to stay with the Philadelphia 76ers. But instead, James Harden said, I ain't cutting the beard. You're cutting the checks, but you're cutting the checks in a different way. Because I'm going to take a 2-year, $68 million contract. Is a second year player option?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So because a lot of Rockets fans are having fantasies about that.
Yeah, you don't want to bring this guy back. Not because he's not going to be a great player, just because you have the future. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Fucking.
I completely agree. Yeah, no, it's.
Harden taking 10 million less this year to basically on a 1-year deal / if he gets hurt or sucks, like he still has another 34 million coming. He wants to win a chip and he's doing whatever it takes. Or not whatever it takes, but he's doing whatever like he can and without completely angering the Players Association. I think it's commendable. My question for you is 34 million for him this season actually like basically market value for where he's been at?
It would probably be roughly market value for his performance in 2021-22, right? Like probably pretty close. Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, like, I don't really understand the logic behind like, oh, I feel like Harden's gonna have a bounce back season. Like, I think he's a little old to have a bounce back season. Like we will see. This is kind of his last kick. If he looks this year like he did last year, that's who he is now, and it's only going to get worse. Yeah.
Well, Rockets fans had that inkling with Chris Paul, and
it's true.
Like, sometimes these guys get right. I hope Harden's right. I don't want the Sixers to win a championship because their fans are kind of insufferable. But if Harden gets one, he's one of the greatest players in NBA history, and if he gets a championship, I think he'll get the respect he deserves. I'm not a Harden stan. I'm just a literal reality stan, and the dude averaged like 37 points per game. Like,
I mean, I watched it almost every game. I'm a Rockets fan if you hadn't heard, and I'm gonna have really conflicting feelings about this team with PJ Tucker there and House and maybe even Eric Gordon before it's all said and done.
I just published something on Eric Gordon. I don't know if he's gonna make it to the 76ers. It's just there's
I know. There's too many roadblocks.
They basically have to trade Tobias Harris, and it's like you don't trade Tobias Harris
to get Eric
Gordon. Yeah.
No, exactly. So I don't really see it happening either. But either way, from an emotional point of view, all told, I think I would feel good about watching Harden get a chip, man. You know, he people want to say he quit on the Rockets and stuff. I'm like, I don't know, man. He was around for 9 seasons. Like, that's a pretty good run. Like, eventually these guys are entitled to say, you know what, I want to move on.
Yeah, I don't know how like a guy who plays massive minutes every game with like a massive offensive load can quit on the team. He just said,
Yes.
"Look, guys, like I'm really tired of getting made fun of on the internet. So I'm going
Yeah.
to."
And like, this team is worse than it's been in years, you know, like how are we gonna get this on the right track? Like, we have Westbrook. Now, granted, that was probably his fault, but anyway, unofficial Rockets podcast. I gotta get going soon. Let's keep it moving.